Welcome back. Well, today we are doing the third and final part of that last trip to Bedford Antiques. And in some ways, I've saved the best for last because there were some really nice buys that I picked up in the last half hour I spent at Bedford. And I'm giving you the shopping trip in chronological order. So, just coincidence. All right, when we get back. Well, for starters, new light is here, which you can see the ring over on the bookcase. I still have yet to figure out how to disguise that. Not sure how yet. I will work it out. But I've switched over to the warmer light instead of what I did yesterday, which was the brighter light. This is the yellow light as opposed to the blue light, basically. So let me know if you have a preference. I'm still getting used to this thing, but it's great because yet another dark, overcast day. So this is going to make it possible for me to film at like 3 in the morning. Not that I want to do that, but hey, you never know when the need might arise. All right, back to Bedford. I finished up the Bedford shopping trip on the first floor, and as usual, I found myself wishing that I had allotted a little more time there because I felt like I was just starting to find some really interesting things. Now, the first thing that I grabbed when this particular phase of the video starts is this really interesting large planter slash pot. In some ways, it looks like an old New England bean pot, but a lot nicer. So let's take a look at that. Well, let's take a look at this. This is a really nice piece of pottery. A three-handled vase or planter or something, but the lines are gorgeous. And $6.50. This, well, as you can see from my hand, this is a very large piece. But at $6.50, I can absolutely take a chance on it. As to be expected, this is another one of Paul's pieces. Well, I have to admit, I really loved that piece. I like simple classic lines, and I also like that hand-thrown earthenware pottery. This piece has 3 handles, as you could see, a good size, and the best part of it was the price is low enough so that I can take a chance, throw it in my Etsy shop, and leave it there for months if that's what it takes to find the right buyer. But in our area, we are very lucky that we have a lot of pottery made by individuals, even if it's just a small concern. It's a lot of artisan-made pottery as opposed to a lot of the mass-produced stuff. And so because we have it and I can pick it up very inexpensively, there's almost no excuse not to put it out there and offer it to people from other places. So I really do like that piece. It just spoke to me. After that, I went back over to the Lutz booth to see what was going on there. I didn't buy anything, but I did get some stuff filmed that I really think you might like to take a look at. Well, we are back in the Lutz booth, and I just spotted this, $8, and it is a fish planter is actually used as a planter, obviously. I'm giving that some serious consideration because Christmas is coming up and I am thinking this might not be a bad gift for Dad or Granddad. Also, let's take a look at this. This is $42. That makes it a little out of the price range for my shop, but that is a nice piece. Just a serious conversation piece. A palmistry hand. So, let's take a quick look around while we are here. We have this wonderful, I'm assuming those are antlers, a cane/umbrella stand. The pretty little cabinet that had been over here is gone, and now we have this very impressive hall piece. Goodness, that's got to be over 7 feet tall. Very nice. The Art Deco cabinet's still here. All right, I am running short on time, so I am going to have to scurry along to make sure I haven't overlooked anything on this trip. So I may end up going back for that fish. It was very sexist of me to say fish for grandpa or whatever. Women fish too. I like to fish. Don't do it much, but I do like to. So maybe that would be a nice Christmas present for Grandma. I don't know. I got to think about it. But that palmistry hand was just so quirky. There was a time when pieces like that, palmistry hands and phrenology heads, were being produced, and they were just quirky, fun pieces. Every now and then, pieces like that come onto the market because people think they're cute. And, oh, well, look at what our nitwit ancestors thought and so on. These are not the real antique pieces. A real antique palmistry hand from the 19th or very early 20th century would be a valuable piece. The phrenology heads, most of them were from the 19th century because as we moved into the 20th century, very few people subscribed to those weird notions any longer. So it was dismissed scientifically. If you can find the old phrenology heads from the 19th century, they're worth a fortune. But anyway, those are just fun, quirky pieces. And I also liked the 2 hallway pieces, that big, substantial mirror with the racks and the seat and everything else. That one was very interesting, as was that antler piece that is probably an umbrella holder. I know a lot of people use them for canes, but yeah, whatever long, narrow stuff. To be perfectly honest with you, I have a large Chinese vase next to my front door that I use as a cane and umbrella holder, but I also keep a roll of brown craft wrapping paper in there and my yardstick. So for me, that little vase/umbrella holder is actually cheap. If I've got any long, narrow stuff, that's where it goes. I'm not very picky about that sort of thing. All right, next up, we went to a little booth that is next to the Lutz booth. And we went in there twice before, I think. And this is one of those strange places that ordinarily I look through because, and we've talked about this before, in some of these places where you just walk away thinking, do they even have an idea of what they're doing? There are some really good pieces at very low prices, and then junk that they're asking a fortune for. And you just look at this and say, where do they get their prices from? And I think that there are one of two explanations. One, they base their sale price on what they paid for an item, which is stupid because you base your sale price on what the item is worth. Or they simply don't know what they have. They find some things, they personally like them and think, oh, I think this is pretty, I'll charge a lot for that. I don't like this so much, so I'll give it a low price. Never understand the pricing that people apply in situations like this. However, if you find booths like that, and there are a few of them at Bedford Antiques, and I always check them out because they don't know what they have, and you can get fabulous prices on them. And I picked up a rose medallion vase in there for $10. Oh, what was that? Something like 6 months ago, I think. And that $10 vase will be right next to a piece of mass-produced mid-century gewgaw, and they'll want $15 for that. Go figure. But I don't have to know why they do it. It makes no difference to me. As long as I know they're doing it, of course I'm going to go in there because I am going to find the valuable goodies, and they're going to have a low price on them for whatever reason. So I went back there and let's take a look. Well, this is a little booth I've gone into from time to time. The last find I got in here was a lovely little Noritake creamer blue lusterware sweet piece. And let's take a look at this. $6. Wonderful dragon planter. Not marked, but I would be willing to bet it's Japanese. It's this sort of faded glaze work they do, with the edges just fading off into white. Very beautiful. This is a great piece. And at $6, oh yeah. Well, I have to say, that planter is a tremendous find because, of course, it's got the pink and black combination that is so mid-century, and it has this wonderful Japanese dragon. It's a Japanese dragon rather than a Chinese dragon, I think. They look very similar. Usually the Japanese dragons have that more sort of snake-like look, and the Chinese dragons have a more lizard-like look. At least that's the way they look to me. So it's got this wonderful dragon. People love dragons. Perfect condition. Absolutely beautiful condition. And when you turn it over on the bottom, it's nice. It's so clean and shiny and just wonderful. Great, great piece. Really good price. And sitting right next to things that were marked $30 or $40 that I wouldn't take if you gave them to me. Go figure. And coming up next is another piece, and I said this was, I think in the film, I said the same piece. No, I meant to say same place. So pardon my little error there. Same place, same booth, found another interesting piece. So let's take a look at that. Same piece, $3.50. Sweet little Japan dish. Got all its fingers and toes, definitely coming with me. Here, though, is a very nice piece. It's $12. It's Royal Copley. And I have to say, I think I'm going to take this with me because with Christmas coming up, this is probably going to be attractive as a Christmas present. Yeah, it's definitely not something I can price at $12 for much under $20. And then the buyer will have to pay shipping on top of that. But it's worth it. So I think so. I think this is something that I will find a buyer for. Or actually, the buyer will find me. Well, that was this delightful little Japanese dish. And I thought it was extremely cute. Not very characteristic of the Japanese pieces I usually find, but still nice. Older piece. I'm not sure they had a clear sense of how old that piece is because we're talking the earlier part of the 20th century. And then that wonderful Copley, Royal Copley sparrow. That is, I don't want to say it's a common piece. It's a piece that you can easily find on the internet if you want to. You know, if you want to match that picture up, it's easy enough to do it. Beautiful piece. Really, really nice condition. Not a bad price. When I say that, it's really, that's not a bad price. If I start comparing prices online, it's starting at like twice that. So it's a nice thing to throw into my shop because I am looking to stock up for the holidays. People will be looking for Christmas gifts. Nobody's getting out. They're doing online shopping. And I'd like to be able to offer a variety, more than just the stuff I kind of usually, it's like, oh, look, here's a salt and pepper shaker. You know, at one point I said I was like the Kmart lady of mugs because I was throwing mugs in there all the time. I want to be able to come up with a variety and some nicer pieces because, as I mentioned, not everybody wants to go out Christmas shopping for $10. Sometimes people want to get better items. It would be awfully nice if I could make that happen. So I was very, very pleased with the 3 pieces I got from this booth. And it was like lightning striking 3 times. But again, I was surprised to find some really nice, interesting pieces at very good prices. We'll have to go back in there again sometime, and I'll show you why I have come to this conclusion about that particular booth. I'll show you some of the things that they have that they are just asking a lot of money for with no explanation when you compare it to deals like the ones that I got. So we'll see. Now, the final batch, these were things I was pressed for time. I was on my way out, and I was throwing them in my bag and scurrying up to the register. I usually lay them out because they have a packing area, and I'll drop my little things there. And very often I'll film them at the register if for some reason I wasn't able to film them at the booth. And that happens a lot because some booths have some nice open spaces where you can lay your items out. Other booths, you've grabbed it out of the back of a bookcase, and the only way you're going to film it is holding it in one hand with the camera in the other. And in case you haven't noticed, my camera wobbles rather a lot when I do that. So, brought it over. And while I was filming, one of the people at the antique store, the Bedford people who do the checkout, was sort of checking things out as I was going. And so, and you can see his hands in there scooping up things as soon as I was through filming them, and which is nice because they knew I was pressed for time. But let's take a look at this last batch of items. So this time out, I'm grabbing a few damaged pieces. This $2, this is another one of Paul's pieces, and it was down here on the first floor. It's a little wall pocket, check. We've got a bird, but we've got a crack here. I'm going to take a chance on it. The holidays are coming up. people will probably be looking for Christmas presents, and a piece that I know to be damaged like this is something that I can blow out for a pretty good price and make everybody happy. This is from that little shop I always walk into, the one that's so neat and so clean and so tidy. And we've got a little cut glass sugar and creamer, and this is $6 because right in here there's a bit of scuffing on the glass. Now, some people are going to take a look at that. It's not going to bother them in the least. They're just going to consider that par for the course for antique and vintage pieces. And because it's damaged, I'm going to very easily be able to blow this out for a low price, spread the Christmas cheer. This one is not going to make it into my shop at all. I have a friend whose favorite color is blue. Her decorating style is American country, and she loves snowmen. So absolutely, I'm seeing a home for this piece. So I kind of broke with my usual rule, which is stay away from damaged items. And I did this for a couple of reasons. That wall pocket with the bird is a nice piece. Yes, it has damage. There was the crack, and it looks like maybe the bird's tail might be missing. I don't know that for sure. It just looked a little odd to me. But just as I said before, not everybody is looking to do their Christmas shopping for under $10. Some people are. And a piece like this that is old, good condition, but has some flaws, that's something I can price low. Give somebody a break. There are people who do, either through choice or necessity, need to do their holiday shopping on a shoestring. And that's not a market I want to pass up. It's not a smart business decision as a reseller to pass up any market that is open to you. But also because, let's face it, these are tough times for a lot of people. We had our country's economy shut down for 2 months. A lot of business people were really struggling. Yeah, some of them didn't make it, in fact. So we need to be mindful. I do think, despite the damage, that little wall pocket is very cute, and someone will like it, especially if I make the pricing attractive enough. The cut glass sugar and creamer, I am going to do some work on that. I'm going to go over it with emery paper because I know that there's scuffing along the glass. I need to make sure it's safe. That's number one. I need to guarantee that if somebody picks it up, they're not going to cut themselves just by holding it. I need to do that. And if I can do that, if I can pull that off, make it safe to handle, then the damage is just going to be concealed by the facets in the glass, and it's a really pretty set with that gilding that there's gilding around the base, and you sort of see it extending up through the glass. I think it's a nice piece. Again, if I can price that attractively enough, somebody is not going to be worried about the damage. And of course, the final piece was, that's just for a friend of mine who, I've spoken about her before. I've never actually mentioned her name, but she is a friend who has this wonderful, very, very comfortable home, and it's decorated in the American country style, which is something I never really cared for until seeing her home and how she did it. And I came to like the style because it's very warm, very inviting, very cocoony. And She loves blue. She loves snowmen. So when I can find a wonderful little American country style blue snowman, guess what? It's got her name written all over it. All right, so that is the end of the Bedford haul for this week. I am going back um, uh, on Friday. It'll be Black Friday. I imagine that most of the vendors are going to be putting out stock, offering discounts and so on, the usual Black Friday stuff. And this time I'm going to make a point of allowing a lot more time for myself because I really felt I was rushing toward the end. So there we go. Um, and I should say a word too about why I keep going back to Bedford. It's where the deals are. We have other places around here, and I will get to them all eventually. But whenever I start thinking about just what is my essential mission here, to help you find ways to get good deals, good prices, quality items, not to pay too much. Well, gee, Bedford has those deals. And they also have enough of a turnover in their stock so that there are always new things to be had. I've never walked out of there empty-handed. Never. Some of the other places, yes, I do very often because the stock doesn't change as frequently, the prices aren't as good, etc. But I also want to make the point that it doesn't have to be a thrift store with Goodwill on the bannerhead. There are a lot of so-called thrift stores, and this is one of them. I'm paying in most cases very little more than sometimes not at all more than I would pay at a thrift store. There are many buys I've gotten from antique sellers at Bedford that cost me significantly less than items I've seen at thrift stores. So until they run out of stuff, we're going to go in there and keep looking for bargains. But we are going to hit some other places too, just not this Friday. This Friday is back to Bedford. All right, listen, have a terrific day. I will see you on Wordy Wednesday, and book club is Thursday evenings, and then back to the regular stuff on Friday morning. All right, have a great couple of days.